Welcome to the Black Men Experiences. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, this black woman murders her husband, but then tries to blame it on another man. Yes. See, there's already an extreme demonic hatred for the American black men. Again, I'm not talking about the sellouts and the deflectors and the Uncle Ruckuses and things like that. I'm not talking about them, right? Talking about the smaller number of American black males that this system hates, because those small numbers of black males see through at least some of the games that are played. And they understand, unfortunately, this modern dayness of many numbers of American black women, the ones it applies to, have been deadly to numbers of black males. And unfortunately, how many more black males does it take for me to realize that that type of American black woman modern day is not the same one as before? And then see, you'll have some people to be like, well, but what are you talking about? Because talking about black women, it's not all black. No, we're not going to play that tactic. We're not going to play that infantile freaking tactic. We know that there are some good numbers of American black women. That's not even the conversation. But more and more and more, it is more ones, right, that have a violent tendency toward black male. There is more ones that have this type of pseudo hatred toward the black male, right? That they don't want to be told anything about his black male, but they want to use black males. Again, credit to the some numbers of American black women in society that are about wanting to be with their black males, but unfortunately, that is a smaller amount. The rest want to sit there and be like white feminism. Now, the story goes that this particular woman out of Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, she's accused of gunning down her husband on New Year's Day. Her name is, I'm not going to say that, but she was 27 years old. That after she shot her husband to death on New Year's Day, that it was saying that she dropped her husband at a hospital, then drove away and went then back to supposedly where the evidence was, supposedly wherever that means, and then went over to her father's house to explain the situation. And her father was like, I don't want to hear anything about that. The son-in-law, that his life was lost and stuff like that. And she tried to explain the story, what happened. And the story, before I showed the video, she basically was talking about how, again, conflicting stories, how there was this guy that she knows, 5'8", about darker complexion, how he was trying to get into the backseat of her car, that asking for a ride. And then her husband, he came out to the right side of the door, and then he opened it, and then pow, the boom boom piece of equipment went off. And she knew right away that her husband was deceased. Saying he was shaking, and she could see his soul leaving his body. Okay, I guess. All right. They talk about how the witness said that they helped put the woman's husband body in the back of the car and drive him to the hospital on that. The problem is that after some investigation, that they found out when she was going to this particular grocery store, they found out that in the grocery store that there was nobody in the car, that she said that was in the car. You see how this story goes. It's confusing, isn't it? Right? One minute she's saying that somebody tried to get in the car, that her husband came out, and then she drove him to the hospital, right? Dropped him off and left, right? Mysterious, right? And then this other part, it was like, well, this guy's asking for the ride, right? But at the same time, she goes to a grocery store, right? And then the camera showed at the investigation that there was nobody in the vehicle. What a mess. You see how crazy it sounds? So I'm just setting that up in that direction. So let me go ahead and play this video.
A grand jury will now hear the case of a Mobile woman accused of shooting her husband to death, then dropping his body off at a hospital.
WKRG News 5's Akivia McFarland was in court for Genesis Tanksley's preliminary hearing. And Akivia, you learned new information from today's testimony.
That's right, Pete and Roseanne. Prosecutors tried to poke some holes in the suspect's story about what happened early on New Year's Day.
A ride to a convenience store becomes the focus of testimony in a Pritchard murder case. Prosecutors say Genesis Tanksley drove to the Lucky 7 convenience store on St. Stephen's Road after allegedly shooting her husband, Lazarus, down the road. In a statement to law enforcement and during a jailhouse interview with WKRG, Tanksley said she gave a man a ride to the store. But on Thursday, Detective Vincent Gazier with the Mobile County Sheriff's Office testified surveillance video showed Genesis Tanksley was alone in that car when she got to the store. The detective also shared a witness account of someone who said the victim ran toward them saying, "She shot me, she shot me." Tanksley maintained when she got to the store. The detective also shared a witness account of someone who said the victim ran toward them saying, "She shot me, she shot me." Tanksley maintained someone else shot her husband. She got to the store. The detective also shared a witness account of someone who said the victim ran toward them saying, "She shot me, she shot me." Tanksley maintained someone else shot her husband.
After the investigation, there's absolutely no evidence to substantiate that. The evidence presented today, in fact, pointed to her being the perpetrator of the murder. The evidence presented today, in fact, pointed to her being the perpetrator of the murder. The judge found probable cause to send it to the grand jury.
Tanksley's father was in the courtroom as that decision was made.
Unfortunately, I think that was a very grave decision. Things remain to be seen. A lot of evidence still has to come out.
Investigators say after the convenience store, Tanksley went back to the scene, got her husband, then dropped him off at a hospital. After that, she went to her father's home.
And she was had to come out.
Investigators say after the convenience store, Tanksley went back to the scene, got her husband, then dropped him off at a hospital. After that, she went to her father's home.
And she was like in a lot of despair, just very distraught, basically saying, Larry is dead. I think she said some dude shot her. And he died in my arms. And I don't know what to do.
A search warrant was executed at her father's home on Vetter Street, uncovering weapons that were seized and are being analyzed. Inside of Tanksley's car, detectives say they found a bullet shell casing on the dashboard of the vehicle and blood. Also in the car, a knit hat and a phone, which were seized and are being analyzed. Inside of Tanksley's car, detectives say they found a bullet shell casing on the dashboard of the vehicle and blood. Also in the car, a knit hat and a phone, which Tanksley claims belonged to the person who shot her husband.
But you have personnel, they say they see nothing, they hear nothing, and they know nothing, right? The lies that this particular black woman, murderer, did to her husband is atrocious. But of course, it's like, oh, what did he do wrong? What did he do wrong? And as more I was sitting there looking into the story a little bit, both of them did a little domestic thing to each other, however it go. And it got to a point where one of those times they was going to arrest both of them, and she took off. So if he was this monster of a abuser, she takes off. Well, you know, this system already has a hatred for black males, so you know, part freaking well, he would have been removed real fast, right? If he was told in the wrong. So so it's the sad part about it is that you know that this system, there's already a hatred again for black males, and unfortunate hatred within certain parts of American black womanism on that. So you see already that. Oh, by the way, the picture and some other pictures of her, she wasn't a bad looking black woman, right? Now she still was probably about a 5, pushing 5, right, on a scale, right? But unfortunately, there are certain numbers within American black male is unfortunate that do settle, right? And there are certain numbers of American black women modern day that no, unfortunately, there is quite a number. Let me phrase that: American black men do settle for just looking at the looks. It's like, well, that person can't do any better than that. You set as goals, and this is why certain numbers of American black women treat numbers of American black males like trash collectively, with very few exceptions. Because unfortunately, there are certain numbers of American black males that refuse to believe that there is violent black numbers of women, the one this applies to, right? Let me sit there and show you this right here, this video. This is another video I've done before. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I will just say you get the point that there's this particular black woman. I don't remember this guy's on at the top of the screen on the right side. I don't know if this is the black guy. The one on the left side that's walking, this is the white guy. You'll see what I'm coming from on this. So the black guy and her went into the store. I guess they got into something say a little argument, and I guess she goes out, gets in the vehicle. Now, outside. Uh-oh. Bam! What? Bam! And then that minivan, she was driving, this violent black woman was driving this one. She runs to the white guy, and unfortunately he passed on too. I don't remember if that black guy he passed on, but he got pretty much injured pretty badly. You can tell. I mean, what other people you hear do stuff like this at this level, right? Especially toward the black males, any equivalent, none. Bam, right? So, but again, oh my goodness, the black male, oh my goodness, he's so violent. While other males, right, who the ones who commit crimes left and right, because the number one people who commit the most crimes are not black people, and certainly not black males, are not the most violent. Just another game in itself. So I just wanted to show you that last part, because again, there is more and more numbers of violent black women that are showing who they really are modern day, that don't want to be told what to do, how to do things, but they want the protection of a black male. They want to use a black male, right? And unfortunately, there's quite a number of black males with very few exceptions that don't even understand. The last part is that, see, if more black males were like, okay, you know what? Nothing wrong with marriage. And for me, hey, I don't think there's nothing wrong with being in a marriage with that woman if you know how to test that woman to see what she's about. It may take more than a few years, though, this depending, right? And there's some other different things I won't say on here, that there are ways to sit down and vet that particular black woman or however black other woman, because this is another thing that goes across the board. But specifically, we're talking about this particular black woman in this situation, are numbers of black women modern day, with very few exceptions on that, right? If more black males are doing this too.
Man, the chicas, they for fun.
Yes. What? Do what?
Man, the chicas, they for fun.
If more black males had the confidence, they'd be like, hey, you know what? They are not going to settle on that, right? They're not going to settle, right? But unfortunately, this system causes so much black pain that unfortunately, many numbers of American black males are just going to sink, with very few exceptions. I thank you for tuning in to the Real excuse me. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Men Experiences.